Oh boy, I'm live. Maybe the microphone is working, maybe not. Looks like it is. Okay, so this is just kind of a free-for-all microtonal fest. I'm going to be changing the 13 TET keyboard to 16, and then maybe jumping in and playing with it. And this will be fun because, like, I've estimated that when... I think Wiggles wants in, so I'm going to let her in, because she's fun. Come on in! But yeah, I'm estimating that it takes me about an hour. No, not an hour. About a half hour to change my keyboards over. So this will be oh boy, this will be a good time. I need to get my laptop high enough that you can actually see me changing the keyboard, because otherwise, okay. So I'm just stacking on more stuff than I originally planned. Okay, and now we've got the keyboard. Okay. Great. So what I can do here is, this is kind of just like, again, kind of a free-for-all. So feel free, if you are in the chat and you want to ask some cool questions, you can go ahead and ask away about anything microtonal related. I'll just try and talk about various projects and other things I know. So the way I take apart this keyboard is pretty easy. The action actually, like, normally is pretty good, but it's not actually very good when I change the keyboard around. So there's normally a lot of screws in the bottom that keep this intact. Like, see all these holes? You see like various pairs of them, right? These usually all have screws in them, but I only screw in 5 that connect like the top in the middle and left and right, and then the same thing in the bottom. And now I don't even have any of those in because this keyboard doesn't go anywhere because I'm not doing any gigging because of COVID. So now what happens is, since this top part can be taken off, I go ahead and remove it like this. And then we have this inside part, which we don't really care about very much, but oh god, come on. Let's just get to the goods. Okay, stay there. My laptop is being precarious, and it is hilarious. Okay, there we go. So now we've got the inside stuff. And Wiggles is over here jumping on the piano. And so I've got my screwdriver. Kitty, you want to come? You come here? Oh, but she wants to say hi to YouTube. Oh, hi, everybody. Yeah. Oh, yes. Adam, you're here. Oh, it's fantastic. I'm so glad to see you. Ooh, and you have a picture. Now I know what you look like instead of just the letter A. Okay, awesome. So here's what I do. I take this apart, and I usually take out the middle screw first. Actually, I'm going to talk about more interesting stuff than taking my keyboard apart, because you can kind of see that. But maybe I should talk about some upcoming secret stuff, which is always super fun. So first of all, some of you may have noticed that I hit 40 patrons recently on the Now and Zen account, which means that I'll be arranging the 16-tone etude of Easily Blackwood's next, or etude, I guess, depending on who you are. And so that's why I'm changing the keyboard from 13 to 16, because I want to get that done as soon as I can. And interestingly, the 16 is the one I have listened to the least. So I know it the least out of any of the etudes. But I'm pretty sure it will be easy because it's slow. However, there being 16 notes is interesting because I feel like on... Wiggles, come on. I need to put the keyboard down, and she's right there, and I'm also holding it. Come on. Oh, can I beat you up with one hand? Whoa. All right, there we go. So, yeah, with the modified keyboard layouts, I do feel like 15 is sort of the last one for me where I'm comfortable reaching the octave. And it's not even really that comfortable since it often reaches to like a 10th. Okay, so here we go. We've got the 13-tone layout, and we want to change it to 16. So we have to remember our 16-tone layout. So we have 13, and with odd numbers, it's pretty easy up until 15 and sort of past, because what you have is you have, half of those is white keys, with integers, +1, and then -1 is the black keys. I'm not explaining that well, but basically, since you've got 13-tone equal temperament, we've got 7 white keys and we've got 6 black keys. So that's the situation. and 16 is an even number. Now, luckily, there's actually an already very well agreed upon 16-tone layout. Yes, counting the numbers that aren't 12. What a bunch of crap. But yeah, unfortunately, Cliff Strang, you're really going to hate this part because we're going to count to 16. Now, the Maveland 9 layout, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to draw it on a piece of paper because we can do that. Lots of you probably already know what this is, so I don't know if this is useful for any of you. But a Maveland 9 layout is a lot like a mean tone 7 layout. So the idea is that you have a group of 3 keys, 3 black keys, and then another group of 4 black keys. So it's very, very nice for a piano player. I played in 16-tone temperament at Untitled 2019, and it felt really good because the grouping is about approximately there. Like for keyboards that are just like monoliths of keys, it's a lot harder to feel like you're in similar territory, if that makes sense. But I think when I'm playing in modified layouts, my brain really likes to have a small group and then a slightly larger group, which is exactly what 12-tone gives you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and change over to 16. And what I like to do is I like to grab these pliers out. I don't know what this is. I feel like this is like sort of like a weird nightmare nerd infomercial. I'm going to use this teacup and I'm going to put the springs in there. And as I remove those, I can talk about, well, see, I was going to play some music, but it's surprisingly, I didn't really think this through because now it's like I'm removing things and I can't play music at the same time, but that's okay. Oh, thank you. Yes, she's a sweetie. Wait, Ghost, do you want to say hi to the camera? No. But yeah, she's really talkative. She wasn't mad at me today, but sometimes because I work all the time, so sometimes if she hasn't seen me all day, but she's gotten to see me like all weekend, she'll just meow at me for like 20 minutes. It's hilarious. Okay, so here's the removal part. So I've removed the springs that comprise an octave here, and now I'm just going to take off some white keys because the white keys hold the black keys. And since I had a big string of them, they are a bit uneven. So I'll tell you in what order I've put them in for 13-tone equal temperament, and then I'll tell you the plan for 16-tone equal temperament. Okay, so if I have all these keys in a row, I'm reading the tops of them, the letters they say. It's C, 2 G's, a D, 2 A's, and then an E. So picture like a C, a D, and an E, and then you've got 2 G's and 2 A's stuck on either side so that you get those 7 keys for Glacial 7. So basically, it's all about extending the middle because if you have F, G, A, and B keys, the G and A keys extend towards the center slightly more than halfway. I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. It's not quite even. Like a D key actually is symmetrical down the middle, but G and A keys aren't. That's actually what I'm trying to say. So that's why you have to sort of buffer those in a certain way. Now, I'm not doing this very intelligently. I'm just going to be taking the black keys off and then just putting it all back. But if I were switching from 13 to 16 during the show, I would have this all planned out with the exact keys I need in each octave and switch it without removing keys redundantly. But yeah, I am going to just remove keys redundantly for now. But yeah, so then the plan for 16, if it's a Maveland 9 layout that has a 3 black key group and a 4 black key group, then what happens is, well, for a 3 black key group, you can just do what you do in 12 TET, right? F, G, A, and B. So that'll work for that. And then for a 4 black key group, you just need 5 keys. So to preserve the symmetry of the situation, you can probably have F, G, D, A, B as keys. And I'll show you that. Now, it's possible that I might come close to running out of G keys and A keys or something like that. So if I were to do that, I would simply budget my symmetrical D keys properly so that I would have enough to do the job. So for example, let's say I get to the last octave, and then if I get to the last octave, I find that I am 1 A key and 1 G key short from making a full 16-tone octave there in the last part. What I would do is I would take 3 D keys, because I'll probably have lots of D keys since I'm only using 1 per octave, and then I would have 3 D keys and then a G and A on either side of that. Nope, 2 D keys. Wait. Oh, I would just have 3 D keys and then C and E or F and B on either side. I think C and E and F and B are like kind of the same, but they don't actually fit the same on my keyboards. Another thing I like to do is I like to lay the keys themselves out here so that I kind of know my history, because obviously the white key formation matters so much more than the black key formation. The black keys just come off and they all go over here. So that's pretty easy. But yeah, cool. So 13 tone, I think, has some has some pretty unique scales here. It's got Glacial 7 and Father 8. And I think the reason that those are great scales is because Wiggles has found the teacup. Did you find the teacup? And the reason those are great scales is because, like, if you have a scale that works where you can tell what's in the scale and what's not in the scale, it serves a similar role to a diatonic scale. Not that it's having the same movements or anything, but it's like you can tell which keys are in and which keys are out, or you can tell which notes are in and which notes are out. And I find that still works for Father 8, which is crazy because, you know, Father 8 has 8 notes and it's so foreign, really, if you're leaping. But if you're in a stepwise motion, then it's not. So it's got a very, very cool vibe to it, which I think is unmatched in many other scales. Now, I think 16's Maveland 9 scale is also pretty remarkable. Although, unfortunately, Easily Blackwood doesn't use that, to my knowledge, in the 16-tone etude. What I'm expecting to find is probably some of what Blackwood described himself, because whenever I take a look at an Easily Blackwood etude and try and get a lay of the land, I find that Blackwood's own descriptions of the scales are very transparent and to the point. And it's also interesting that he doesn't exactly consider all of the modes of a given tuning before using it. Like, in 15-tone equal temperament, he basically sticks to the Blackwood scale in almost everything he does as a starting point, because William Lynch and I were talking about this on Discord. Wiggles, oh, your cute little tail is messing up my keys. So, yeah, it's... or Triforce 9 melodically at least once, but really no, he just sticks to Blackwood 10. I think his method is to, yeah, exactly. The white keys, how are we ever going to get them back? We probably won't need those. Oh no! Now see, this is the thing you never want to happen. And I don't know how this even went down because the springs, like there's this little, like the keys are just covering the inner hole. So if I am not careful and I'm pulling these out carelessly, they'll just fall in, and one of them just straight up fell in without me yanking it out. So that kind of makes me a little bit uneasy as to why that came out so easily. But yeah. So yeah, Easily Blackwood in 15-tone equal temperament. It's so cool that he fell in love with it, but it's not near just in its major triads. It just offers ripe Zen harmonic territory in the Blackwood 10 scale. Another thing I want to do is I want to, one of my theory videos that I want to make, which is, I think, a very, very good idea, is to parody 12-tone, but make a video acting like it's 15-tone and talk about the history and usage of the Blackwood 10 scale using its scale degrees and Blackwood notation. This would be pretty revolutionary. I've asked some people for different pieces that are in Blackwood 10. So if you know of any, of course, I would like to know about those because I'm sure there are a finite number of songs or pieces that use Blackwood 10, or at least a fairly finite number. So, of course, we have Easily Blackwood's material as one of those things. And then Lois Lancaster's work is also this huge body of stuff that's in Blackwood 10, and I haven't tried to play any of it, but it seems like it'd be pretty playable. Probably more playable than some of Easily Blackwood's stuff even, because it's structured more like pop music and doesn't have like counterpoint really. Although maybe it does, and I'm not really looking for it. I don't know all the songs by heart, but I know some of them. And there's also some songs by Iglesian Jones that use Blackwood 10, and I think Savage is So Thankful uses Blackwood 10, but I thought it was J.I., which is really crazy. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Okay, we did it. We got all of the white keys out. Now that I have all the octaves, except for that one which my cute kitty messed up, what we have to do now is only one white key fell on the ground. Oh, okay. All right. Oh wow. I guess it's not very bright in here. So this is an A key. So what I'm gonna do is, look at this. I even did it in this octave here. Instead of symmetrically having a D key in the middle and going C, G, G, D, A, F, I went C, G, G, D, D, A, F. So yeah. Ever used non-octave equivalent scales? Yes, actually. I have used non-octave equivalent scales. I've used Bowl and Pierce a few times. I have an incomplete dulcimer and keyboard piece that uses some very odd non-octave scales, which I talked about on my channel, but that I want to finish eventually. And then I used a lot of them in my emoji album, which I can't pronounce, but it's the one that crashes iTunes and has 1,080 pages of track notes. You can find that on Bandcamp. Fast is asking, what is this? Well, it was 13 tone equal temperament, and now it's going to change into 16 tone equal temperament. So here's what we do. Okay, we had the 13 tone octave, and we just have to figure out how to quickly change a 13 tone octave into a 16 tone octave. And we had 4 octaves and a little bit here, right? So probably this little bit is not going to matter very much. I'm trying to remember how I did this at Untwelfth 2019, because I think I wanted to play in a certain key, and I didn't have enough range to do everything I wanted if like C started at the beginning. So that meant I had to shift everything down by like a fourth. So I didn't plan this out. It's quite possible that I'll build this and I'll be like, I need one more key for the Easily Blackwood etude at the bottom, and I'll have to like redo all of it, and it'll be stupid. But you know what? For now, we're just gonna act like C is on the bottom, and we'll just keep going from there. And with the Maveland 9 layout, we're going to act like C is in the 3 black key group, and then I don't know, like F up or whatever starts the next group with the 4 black keys. Yes, I agree. Definitely. I probably wouldn't go very fast. But anyway, this is my other box of keys. And this, I love this thing because for a really long time, these 7 boxes in here were just like terrible. But recently, I've cut this stuff up so that each box has a certain amount of keys in it. You can see that there's almost nothing in the A key container. So, yeah. All right. So we've got some stuff here. So let's figure out how to turn this into 16 tone. So in that first group, we just want, well, let's see. I guess 3 black key group is just C, D, and no, F, G, A, and B. So let's see. I guess what we could do is, see, this is a bit of a hard one because this has 2 white key groups. So now I have to start pulling out a lot more C, E, and F, and B keys, which I didn't really have to do very much with this 13-tone layout. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to start by taking out the middles of these, and I'm going to put them over here in between the keys so Wiggles can't attack them. And then I'm going to do some more rearranging. Okay, so we're taking the middles of the octaves out. All right. We've got some stuff. All right, great. We've got C and E here. And just for the sake of consistency, I actually am going to make the first group C and E on the outside and then F and B next. So yeah, okay, great. So now we sort of have a basic method for how to do this. I wonder if this is how people at an auction feel. Oh, by the way, I should tell you all about my my next cover song that I'm releasing. It's a collaboration with John C.L. Jansen, which makes me very excited. We met at Untwelfth 2019, and there was this really cool piece that I made with him and his harmonic guitar instrument that kind of was notated like Harry Parch music. And it was like the weirdest, most perfect thing I'd ever made in a short amount of time. Like I wrote that piece in one day, and it was everything it needed to be. It was so cool. So I'm really, really excited to work with him again. He's sending me some saxophone parts for this next cover. I decided to cover Sean's Bits, which is in 13-tone equal temperament. So the keyboard is in it, and my ukulele is in it, and a few other things. And if you're more interested in that, you can check out my Patreon because it's got tons of information about how I made it. So yeah. Okay, here we go. We've taken out the middles. Ooh, and there's this little last C key that's fat compared to the other keys. Yeah, exactly. Saxophone is great. So now I've got some keys without their middles here. So now I have to figure out how to correctly sort of budget there in the sides. So now if I go through the middles of these octaves, I can grab G's and A's. And I'm just going to grab, let's see. Well, I don't know how many octaves I need. I guess I can figure it out. But yeah, okay. Let's see. So this keyboard has 61 total keys. And I've actually written that over here. You probably can't see it. I literally just wrote a giant 61 on it so that I wouldn't forget. But anyway, okay. So now, check it out. We've got the first part. And now, come on. Stay up, ye keys. And now we're going to move on to this next part here. So for this next part, I'm going to have, well, since using G and A keys on the outside of a D just takes up a lot of G and A's, right? Like that's 4 G and A's per octave. I am going to employ a switching method. I'm not sure if I did this before. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. But I'm thinking if my group of 4 white keys has G and A in the middle and C and B on the outside, and then for the F and B group with the 5 black keys, I am going to alternate between GDD and DDA. See what I mean? Okay, so I'll explain that. So, well, maybe that'll use too many D keys. Gosh, I'm not really even sure. I guess we'll find out along the way, won't we? Okay, great. So there's that. G, D, A. Good, so we've got our first octave. Actually, we could probably figure out how much this is going to take up. Let's see. 4, 5. I'm not even going to count it. I'm just going to, or I'm not even going to multiply it. I'm just going to do it like this. So here's 4 black keys. 5, 4, and 5, and 4, and 1, 2, 3. Oh no, it's going to end on a black key. So I don't get to stick in that extra fat C key, which is too bad. But that's okay. All right. And I think, oh gosh, well, if a 15-tone keyboard, see, 61, having 61 keys is so nice for a 15-tone keyboard because, 15 goes into 60, right? At least it should. Yeah, 15 times 4 is 60. So it's 4 octaves plus that fat C key. Whereas, 60 and 12, 5 octaves. So this will be less than 4 octaves. So it'll be 3 and a little bit like sort of a wonky perfect fourth is kind of like how much range we're going to get. So I only have to make 3 octaves. So that's not very much. Okay, so we already made the first octave out of white keys. Now we're going to make the second octave. Let's see. Okay, so we had G and A. So now I'm going to grab a G and an A. And those go here. And then, let's see, we've got some, let's see, G's and D's and A's. Okay, great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, did it. Okay, so we've got 2 octaves. And now I am going to have to start pulling out other C, E, F, and B keys. So now I go into my nice little box right here. And I have a C key. So I want an E key since that's the first group. I'm going to find one of the ones from the original model. By the way, there is a contrast that you should know about that's interesting. The keys that I used are from different keyboards. So these right here, they have a little bit more of a yellow color than the ones that I got from Ball State's trash. See? Yellow, white. And so the yellow ones, since they actually come with this model, they have better action generally. But not always. You'd be surprised. Sometimes the rearrangement just is really weird and doesn't work as well. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, funny. Okay. So, all right. So I've got this E key here. I'm going to get that arranged, and then we get an F and a B key. So C, D, E, F. Here's an F. Oh, but it's not from the original model, so I'm going to keep looking. Oh, okay, here we go. Yellow on the underside, so there's F. And then we need a B key. Good. And then I need some for that little extra part, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to need B keys. So I'm just going to pull out a C, an E, and an F, just in case I need the F, but I might not. We'll see. Okay. Awesome. So there we go. I've got that. I've definitely rearranged keyboards faster in my life. And I have an exciting new, poppy melody that I want to distort in 31 TET for my super secret choral album that'll eventually happen. So that's pretty exciting. All right, great. So let's make this one. You get a G and an A. If we can even find them, there they are. There's a G and an A. Okay, great. There we go. And the black keys are easy, so this is why I'm thinking about the white keys. It's because the black keys literally just go in between them. That's all they do. Okay. Now this next one, here's a D. Ooh, and here's another thing I do. I hunt down the keys from the old model to get this to work. Because the keys from the old model just tend to work better. I've got a G and a D here, but I think I can find an A. Are there A's in here that are from the old model? No, they're both white keys because I was using them in 13. So we've got a G and a D, and let's see if I can. Well, I guess I could just use another D, even though it'd be a little bit offset. I think that would work. Yeah, there we go. Okay, great. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting the keyboard together. So now we have to put the black keys on first because the white keys encase the black keys. I see a bunch of people leaving because this isn't me playing insane music. I totally get it. I would leave too. But yeah, so now I tend to do this with my hands to snap it in place. So there's that first black key. And then we're just going to keep going with the layout. So it's 3 alternating with 4. So I'm just imagining where the white keys are. There we go. So there's a 3 section. And now, we're going to put adjacent white keys there. And now this is a section of 4. Hooray. So yeah. Another thing that would be cool about the 12-tone spoof video with Blackwood 10 is that in order to imitate his style, one could draw porcupines instead of elephants. And it would work really, really well. Just imagine you saw something and you thought it was a 12-tone video, but it was actually about Blackwood 10. Wouldn't that just, be so great? I mean, I really want to see that, which is part of the reason I want to make it. But yeah, I guess I have to get my keyboard in 15 and start playing around with that. There's something to be said for modified keyboards. And now I'm doing something a little bit risky. I'm holding multiple springs in one hand. Oh my god, yes. That would be the funniest video. Is there a 16th note? And then I could show this video. But yeah, no. I'm really amazed that none of the springs have dropped out of my hand yet. It is amazing how much I have been talking for the last few days. Because I had to talk a lot at work today. I have to speak up over kids a lot when they're being loud. And then at the high school that I work at, because everything is virtual and people don't want to sing the melody, I get to sing soprano all day. And so I am just totally in girl voice. Hi, amigos. Oh, she might actually want to get out of the room. Do you want to go? You want to go? Okay. All right. We'll see if she gets back in after a little while. Well, yeah. Okay. So we've got a few octaves there. I'll continue to go. And now, the way that I place my black keys will also help me remember, what I still have left to do on that little remainder part where I don't get everything. Let's see if I can. Yeah, that's better. Yeah. So So that's pretty exciting. But yeah, I'm so looking forward to getting into the 16-tone etude, because I think that, like, when I was arranging the 13-tone etude, it was just pure joy, like, because it was so fascinatingly deep and complicated. But at the same time, it might have only been so because it was 13-tone equal temperament. That's not a slam on the complexity of the work. I'm just saying that, like, you can grasp the underlying chord structure. It's just that since all of the chords in the 13-note etude that don't deal with the Father 8 mode are so complex, they're a bit more of a tough nut to crack. I made a statement in my paper that, like, wasn't factually incorrect, but definitely showed that I hadn't, like, played through the piece and studied it as deeply as I have for my YouTube channel now. And that statement was that that Blackwood used a mod moss of Father 8 in the A section that was modulated to the new key, which is a little bit true, but it's really more like he still used the moss scale of Father 8. For those of you who don't know what a Father 8 scale is, a Father 8 scale is a scale with 5 large steps and 3 small steps. So it's like a major scale, but you've inserted an extra half step and squashed everything so that it fits within an octave. And then you kind of have to rethink the symmetry of everything so that all works out. Ooh, looks like this is going to be fun. I've been practicing singing my Father 8 scales by trying to go do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, and then by the time I get to la, it becomes lay, and then la, ti, do. It's like, you give that a try, like, da, 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 da. I can check and see if I'm right later. That didn't sound very right. I was trying to sing 31-tone semitones in the hallway, and my fiance was like, who is that weirdo in the hallway? Oh, I know him. So it was all good. But yeah, they didn't seem very accurate. I feel like if I get tired all day, it's like the accuracy suffers, you know. Okay, we've done it. We've strung up the keyboard. So now we've got all the black keys in, and we get to put the white keys in. Hooray! Okay, so I like to just stick them in like this. Come on. All right. Yeah. Oh, 16 is so cool. I think I was playing with it on Instagram once. So that's pretty neat. I keep getting Discord messages, but I don't like... I hope the noise isn't, like, super annoying over there. So all you people watching, everyone in the crowd. All right. There we go. So there's the first octave of 16. And I'm going to get risque here. Oh, look at how many springs I have in my hand. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. Not for the viewers. I'm not going to risk springs falling down and then me wasting time by having to collect them. But yeah. So there's also 2 other songs I really want to cover while I have a 16-note keyboard. Well, maybe not 2, maybe 3. There's some that I've had my eyes set on. Those of you Super Now and Zen fans will know that there was an episode where I talked about the chords in Lois Lancaster's Abraco de Affogato, which is in 16 TET and uses the Maveland 7 scale. One thing that is so cool about Lois's writing, which I really respect, is that he uses Zen harmonic scales like most people would use scales in 12-tone equal temperament. And what I mean by that is that he uses a manageable number and explores them thoroughly. Like, if you're in 12-tone equal temperament and you're like a decently creative musician who like knows what's going on, you know that there's like a certain finite number of scales. You probably know what most of them are. And like if somebody suggests a new scale to you who maybe is like naive or in it for the first time, you're kind of like, oh, that's sort of like a blah, 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 you know? So there's really like this certain number that people draw from. And Lowe's kind of treats Zen harmonic modes like that, and I love it. And I think his main ones are kind of like BP and Blackwood 10 and Maveland 7, and I think he's used a few more. It's it's really very nice because it gives you that element of focus without feeling like you're just restricted to one thing all the time. So I definitely want to write like that. That's kind of how Elaine Walker writes too, although I don't think she's sticking to specific modes really, except in 10 EDO where she uses Dicot 7 quite heavily. That's probably the best mode of 10 EDO. There's not really very many other ones to find that saturate the octave and are easily comprehensible stepwise and that form a nice little structure like MOS scales like to do. But yeah. There's also another important thing you should know about keyboard layouts and various equal temperaments, which is that MOS scales aren't always the best layouts. Great example of that, 14 TET. Well, in 14, you have Godzilla 9, right? Oh, I'm trying to think about how you would even put that into a layout. Because I guess you'd alternate with 2 and 1. Huh. Well, you might have to have like double black keys for Godzilla 9 and 14 TET. But, you know, I don't think that really works so well. I try to avoid double black keys whenever I can. And the exception I make is for 17, 19, and 20, and 24. But I've never put this keyboard into a 24-tone layout. But I could, and I plan to someday. I just have had no reason to do that yet. But yeah, I think the best layout for 14 is a mod moss, and I forget what it's called. But you know how in 16 you have a group of 3 black keys and then a group of 4 black keys? Well, imagine you remove 2 keys from the 3 black key group. Now you have a group of 2 black keys and a group of 4 black keys. And to my 12-tone equal-tempered brain that likes to play a small group and then a big group, that is way better. That 14-tone layout that has 2 black keys and then 4, instead of like a mod moss where like everything is symmetrical and terrible and you can't tell where everything is. That's one of the things that is really, really difficult about the 15-tone layout. And those of you who have who followed my channel, you know all of my thoughts about 15 tones 2 main layouts, the Blackwood layout and the Hanson layout. And I think I'm going to use the Blackwood layout. No, not the Blackwood layout, the Porcupine layout. The Blackwood layout would just be a big symmetrical row. The Porcupine layout and the Hanson layout. The Porcupine layout is really hard. It's really hard to subitize the keys, but the fact that the pattern is the same everywhere makes it easy in a sense. And Hanson is like a layout that you would use if like society had evolved to create 15-tone keyboards. I don't know, or maybe it would have evolved a Blackwood 10 keyboard with dots and numbers on it. I try to not put dots and numbers on my keyboards at all. Because I don't want it to be like a guitar. And I know lots of people are okay with that. Like, and that's a fine tool to use. I just think it's like, why not keep it as much like a real keyboard as possible? And these layouts aren't standardized, so I can just mix and match and do whatever I want. So, oh God, there's that. Let's see. Is it common to apply serialist/set theory concepts Zen stuff? Well, that is a good question. You know, I'd say it's not as common as I would expect, because you would think that, like, with Zen harmonics being such a hard topic to get information about, you would think that academics would be like the people into that, but it's actually, I don't really think it's that way at all. I think it's more like, out of most of the population, it's like one small tiny fraction of almost every demographic is like interested in microtonality. So it results in like this really, really like concentrated group of like highly opinionated, like highly diverse, highly intelligent, contrasting people. And they're all offering something different. So probably if you look hard enough, you will find characters that are interested in set theory and Zen coming together. I know that Julian Hook, who's actually a professor at Indiana University, and it's a crime I haven't talked to him yet, he figured out how to enumerate all of the pitch set classes in various EDOs, and it uses the Polya enumeration theorem for all you math people. I don't even know how to use it really, but you can find the information for free online, and it's very nice. 2 other resources I'd recommend are, let's see. Oh, actually, no, I only have one. Jeremiah Goyette's set calculators. deal with any equal temperament that it will accept. It's just that, like, if you have a lot of pitch classes, or if you have a high EDO, there are so many pitch class possibilities that calculators start to get tired. So if you use Jeremiah Goyet's calculator, you might find that past 22 EDO, you might not be getting all the calculations you want of a certain cardinality because it's like, there's just too many of them for the computer to handle. Okay. Wow, I painted over this one really good. Key. I don't know if you can see that. You're supposed to be able to see a letter on the top of them. Like right there. You see the D right there? So that's a D key. Let's see. Is his max 31? It depends on the calculator. And maybe I should link it in the description. But I think there was one cardinality calculator that maxed out at 20. And then there's also like a pitch class circle. And you're allowed to put in non-integers. So that's not expressly like created with the idea of EDOs in mind, but it's open to that in an intelligent way. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to put in 2 more keys. I'm going to put in 2 D keys. There we go. And now, if I add these springs, then that will be it. That will be the 16-tone keyboard. Ta-da! It's now in Maveland 9. That'd be so funny if somebody was like, hey, your second octave is wrong. But it's not. Okay, so now here's what I do. I don't put the keyboard back together again because it's a little bit of an effort to do that. What I do now is I actually plug it in and test the action to make sure that none of the keys are duds. Because it's quite common that if I reassemble the keyboard and just decide to play some things, maybe 1 or 2, or sometimes even 3 keys will have a little problem. So that's why I do this. Okay, so I'm turning on the keyboard, and now it's on, and I'm too lazy to buy the HPI box and change the internal MIDI to like be microtonal or whatever, and I just use the computer, and that's fine. Okay, here we go. So I got this nice chord. Is it gonna reach? Is it gonna reach? Oh man, it's gonna reach, but I have to rearrange everything. Here we go. Oh good, you get to see my face again. Okay. By the way, I do have my keyboard plugged in over here, and oh, there are those other keys that I was working on that are laid out. So now I'm also going to put some of these away and organize them. It looks like I've got 2 G keys and 2 D keys, and then that fat C key that goes on the end. So I'm going to put those away. G's are right there. Yeah, nice. And then 2 D keys. Okay, great. And I was thinking I could show you a little pop song on the piano over there. That'd be fun. So I've got this keyboard plugged in. So now I'm going to go over to Absynth, my favorite one synth that I use as I've become lazier and lazier and never try any new synths anymore.